Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Town of Woodbridge Board of Police Commissioners, Monday, February 8th, 2021. It is now 6:17. We started a little bit late because some technical difficulties. We are holding this meeting by Zoom based upon the executive order by Governor Lamont, Order 7B, Section 1, which permits us to have hearings in this manner for the safety of everyone. The public has been given notice of this hearing and can attend by Zoom. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of January 11th of 2021.
I move we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Any comment? Hearing no one. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I see two hands and Mr. Esposito.
I raised my hand and I said aye.
Thank you. I didn't hear you.
You can count me twice.
Okay.
I see how this meeting's going to go.
Sorry.
The next item on the agenda is the public comments. Chief, is Janice with you?
She is. Yep.
Is there anyone from the public that had expressed an interest in speaking tonight?
There's not, Rob.
There is one person I see, or one phone I see. It's 203-389-6815. Is that a town number?
That's Joe Crisco.
Oh, hello. Hello, Senator Crisco. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so there's no one from the public. Moving on to the review of the reports. First item is the financial report.
The financial report, after completion of 7 months of the first 7 months of the budget for fiscal year 21, we pretty much continue on track. That's 3%. And if anyone has any questions about any specific lines, I'll do my best to try to answer them for you.
Commissioner Falsigna?
I didn't have any.
Okay. Commissioner Esposito, Dr. Freed, anyone?
I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the financial report for this month?
Aye.
Well, I guess that I need a motion.
You need a
first, I'm
motion,
sorry.
right?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you.
The, financial
Seconded by
report.
Dr. Freed. Is any further discussion? All those in favor? I see two hands. I see three hands. Okay. Thank you. That's approved. Next item on the agenda is the activity report.
And on the criminal activity side, I'll give you a quick synopsis of what occurred during the past month. We had a burglary reported on January 1st. That occurred on Amity Road near Route 67 at a detached garage. Actually was determined to have occurred over a week-long period. They broke into a residential garage and stole an ATV, a quad, out of the garage, valued at about $1,500. During last month, we had 6 different fraud type cases, ranging from forged checks, some suspicious calls inquiring about personal information, telephone scams, and things of that nature. We had 2 larcenies reported. One involved stolen power equipment from a local business down on the Litchfield Turnpike, and using surveillance photos from the area. ISU was able to determine who the suspect was, and they identified him of someone that lived in the New Haven area. In that neighborhood there, he was recognized, and they subsequently were able to locate all the items at a local pawn shop in New Haven and identify the person, as I said, and they obtained an arrest warrant. And I believe they just recently made the arrest on that, so that case was closed. And then at the beginning of the month, we had a larceny over on Meadowcrest Circle. One unknown male pulled up at a house where some construction work had been going on. Took some items from the site there and fled. We had a total of 6 larcenies from vehicles that occurred. Occurred like in the old Barnabas, Pine Ridge, Northrop Road, Brook Road, Brightwood Road, Humblebrook Road areas, Ansonia Road areas. Primarily those were on January 1st and 2nd. They were all from unlocked vehicles and from the areas I mentioned before. And they seem to have been associated with a stolen motor vehicle from Brook Road that was recovered shortly after that, which I'll touch on in a minute. And we had a couple missing persons. They're foster children that are they're actually still outstanding, but they were runaways from a local foster home in town here. We had the same incident with one of them a short time ago. So we're working with the surrounding jurisdictions on that. And we had a stolen vehicle that I had just mentioned. One that I had just mentioned. Then we had another report of a stolen vehicle. Ironically, it was by someone who went hiking in one of the local trails, came out and thought their vehicle had been stolen, but long and short of it, after a little bit of quick investigation, they determined that the person came out at a different location from where they started, and the car was
That
found.
could have been me. It wasn't, but that totally could have been me.
Yeah,
Get it?
I understand. Probably could have been me too at one point. ISU activity during the past month. This is a reference to the stolen car we had. ISU, you worked closely with New Haven PD as usual and some of the other surrounding agencies. And as a result, all of our stolen cars over the last couple of months have ultimately been recovered, and arrests were made and associated with some of those. And those were actually tied into the larcenies that I referenced that had occurred throughout town at the beginning of last month. They also assumed follow-up investigations into 9 new cases. And during the month of January, they processed 19 public fingerprinting requests and initiated background investigations and processing of an additional 10 pistol permit applications. And just a quick recap of some criminal arrests that occurred during the month of January. 34-year-old resident from Center Road was arrested for disorderly conduct on New Year's Day following a road raid incident and altercation that took place on Racebrook Road. On January 11th, that's when they served an arrest warrant on the operator of a motor vehicle that had been involved in an accident over the summer that occurred in the area of the Blue Check down there at Amity and Cedar Road around 8:20 in the morning on July 31st. At the time of that accident, it was kind of, right during rush hour. Long and short of it was a vehicle went off the road. 2 individuals fled the area. One of them was totally stark naked, and he took off. After a search of the area, they were able to find him hiding in the woods, and he's found to be in possession of narcotics, and his transport to the hospital for an eval. So the warrant was the arrest was made by warrant. So that was what the delay is with that. There's a DUI arrest involving a person on Ansonia Road. He had fled the scene of an accident in Orange. Our guys appeared him operating the vehicle on Ansonia Road. He was found to be intoxicated, didn't want to get out of the car. So he had to forcibly be removed. And after a scuffle, he was taken into custody with no injuries. And we had an arrest of a male in regards to a criminal violation of protective and criminal restraining order following a dispute at a residence in town. And on the 27th, ISU served the arrest warrant, as I mentioned before, on a juvenile from New Haven in connection with the theft of one of the stolen vehicles that was involved with the larcenies that we had. And that was it on the criminal side. And on the motor vehicle side, traffic enforcement remains pretty much consistent with what I reported at our last meeting and how it's been going throughout the pandemic. During the month of January, we had 19 motor vehicle accidents. As I reported last month, overall, our total number of accidents were down during the calendar year for 2020. So we're hope to continue with our efforts in moving forward and keep that trend going. Last month, Patrol performed over 400 traffic radar assignments and over 400 deterrent traffic enforcement post assignments as well. And they made 2 DUI arrests and 3 different arrests for evading responsibility where people left the scene of traffic accidents. And that's all I have is for activity.
Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve the activity report? Thank you, Dr. Fried. Is there a
So
second?
moved.
Mr. Esposito, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Steve, I can't see your hand. I'm sorry. Thank you. That passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the chief's report.
The only thing I really have,
A quick question. I approved and I voted yes for the activity, but there just seems to be a disconnect, at least in my mind, between the statistics that the monthly officer statistics, where there's only 2 motor vehicle stops, and what the chief just told us. So, I'm not looking for a big explanation, but I'm just kind of curious how we can get better tracking, because you just mentioned that there were 11 motor vehicle stops because of different accidents and different events that took place, but your statistics on the monthly officer activity says that there's only 2 motor vehicle stops. So
If I could just add to that, Chief, is that because the DWIs and the criminal is not included in the motor vehicle stops?
right, so the DUIs would probably fall under as a result of a traffic accident investigation. So that's probably the discrepancy that you're.
It's just not included in the traffic.
Right, so it's not, it wasn't initiated from a motor vehicle stop.
I'm just saying it's just misleading to me that, I mean, when I look at the monthly activity report and I see 2 traffic stops in, there's 3 shifts every day and there's 7 days in a week, it just seems like a very, very low number. And what you're telling me is very, very different because it's being monetized somewhere else on the report. So.
Steve, the 2 was last month, the month before. I think the 10 was more recently, so that's a little more in step with what.
Well, I think he was reporting on last month, if I'm not mistaken, right? In January?
Yeah, I report on last month. I think Dr. Fried's referring to the month before that.
Yeah, December was 2 and January was 10. So it's a
Right.
little more in step.
Okay.
But and pretty much, and it all correlates with what I've been saying over the last several months, that our public interactions have been continue to be limited and diminished due to the coronavirus pandemic, to risks of exposure for the public and for our staff here, so we could.
You have total stops on this of 10, right? For the month of January.
Mhm.
And you have motor vehicle stops of 2 at the bottom. Grand total of 2 for a motor vehicle, and then total stops of 10. And then there's so I mean I'm just saying that to me that's just I'm not sure if there's another way to capture those.
Yeah, I think what.
Different, more accurate way for me.
Right.
So, we can just move on. I'm not looking to belabor it.
This is the way we've been doing it for the longest time, but there were 2 arrests made, but there were 10 stops. So there were 10 stops, but there were only 2.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks.
So I think we were up to the chief's report. You want to give us the COVID update?
Sure, on COVID update. So as of today, per my last report from Quinnipiac Valley Health, we've had 396 positive cases reported to us in town here. Just an quick update on the vaccine. All of our staff have been afforded the opportunity to receive the COVID vaccine, and many of them have actually taken advantage of that. More recently, over the past couple of weeks, those that elected to participate received their 2nd doses, and the remainder have been scheduled in the very near future. We had a few, suffering adverse effects, but nothing substantial that didn't last more than 24 to 36 hours. And we're fortunate to have had the opportunity to get the vaccine. And obviously the side effects that everybody's experiencing are surely better than the alternative. In town, the town recently hosted a COVID vaccination clinic on January 29th at the Center Gymnasium for residents age 75 and above. And that was done in a collaboration between the Woodbridge Human Services and our local health department, QVHD. And they have a tentative date set up for the 26th of February to follow up with that on the second dosages. And this weekend, the 14th, there's a COVID testing opportunity also being held here at the Senate Gymnasium. And that's all.
Make a motion to accept the report of Chief of Police.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? I see 3 hands. Thank you. It passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is personnel matters. The first item is deputy chief posting.
As you know, the deputy chief retired, and that was effective on January 23rd. And the application process and search for his replacement was recently started. A copy of the job posting was included in your packets, and that posting is currently being advertised on the town website, the Connecticut Chiefs Association website, and the Connecticut Police Officers and Standards Council website, with a deadline to submit the applications set for March 1st at 4 p.m. I just want to say, as we know, in a smaller size agency like ours, it's not often that opportunities for advancement arise. And we have talented people here, and there's a significant value to utilizing people that already know the operation and know our community. And so because of that, I feel strongly that, we look to promote from within our ranks. By filling from within, it allows us to stop. We've been kind of stagnated for a while, and it creates some upward movement from the lowest patrolman all the way up and throughout our supervisors. Moving forward with the process, and depending on the applications that are received and the board's feelings, if for some reason we decide that it's necessary or it's decided to hire from outside, I still, want to recommend that we look at doing some restructuring from within if we could find the financial means to do so. Because doing that would only, reinforce the chain of command and, accountability, would give management more flexibility with job assignments, but more importantly, it will give our personnel some diversity in their duties and responsibilities and a chance and opportunity for everybody to grow personally and professionally. So for things that arise in the future, we'll be grooming people for those positions as they come up. For the last several years now, with elimination of the lieutenant's position, and we haven't been participating in any special assignments. The promotional and chances for people to advance and learn different skills have been limited. So this would be a good opportunity for us to improve on that, and I think about that as we move forward throughout this upcoming process.
Okay, thank you.
Rob, we just had one other thing about the part-time mechanic.
Sure.
Just let you know that our mechanic recently underwent a major surgical procedure, and it's anticipated that he'll be out of work and recuperating for the next several weeks. So during his absence, we're using a temporary substitute mechanic on a part-time basis. It's similar to what we did when our mechanic was out in the past. And the finance director and the public works director are both on board with it. He has full access to the garage over there at Public Works, and it's all been working out well the last week or two. So just to make the board aware.
Okay.
That's it under personnel.
Next item on the agenda is the operating budget.
Yeah. So on January 28th, I presented the fiscal year 22 operating budget at the joint meeting of the boards of selectmen and boards of finance. The next step in that process, as is customarily, is review and recommendations by the board of selectmen, and they'll forward their recommendations to the board of finance. And then after that, the board of finance will continue to meet and ultimately make their final budget recommendations. Last week, the finance director and the first selectman advised all the department heads that overall the overall town budget that's currently being proposed by all the departments is higher than what they'd like to see. So they advise that, the town will face with minimal growth on the grant list and revenues, along with the, associated impacts that have been experienced with the ongoing coronavirus. And because of that, the town budgets are not being offset, and ultimately resulting, stay where it is going to ultimately result in an increase in taxes. So for that reason, they're going to be reaching out to all of us department heads to discuss possible ways to further reduce our budgets. I think, as you know, we're very responsible in preparing our budget, and as always, the majority of our budget reflects contractual obligations, and the remaining numbers are realistic and represent what we need to pretty much to pay the bills and to maintain efficient operations. But as we move forward through the process, I look forward to working with both the board selectmen and the board of finance to see what we could possibly do to modify or assist in any way to address the current concerns that are being expressed. So that's it.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is our executive session. So if we could, I'm going to leave this open. And if everyone can log out and then log into the executive session, I'll join on a different device so we can keep this active.
Hey, Rob, Janice reminds me, I think we need a motion to go into executive session.
I didn't get to that yet. I was just playing with my computer to do it.
Okay.
Rob,
Yes.
would it make sense to just do to come out of the police meeting, go into the Woodbridge Traffic Authority, since it doesn't seem like there's much on there, and then just finish up with the executive session, instead of going back in and out of the Zooms, different Zoom?
The problem is we have to adjourn.
Okay.
So it was a good idea, but unfortunately we can't do that.
Okay.
So is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
And
Second.
if I can just clarify, the executive session is to discuss the draft dispatch consultant report. And after consultation with town council, they felt that because it's a draft and deals with public safety issues, that warranted our ability to handle this in executive session and not in public forum. All those in favor?
All right.
I see 3 hands. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this open, and I'll meet everyone in a few moments on executive session.
Hello.
Hi, Andy. Thanks.
Okay, I'm
All right,
here.
great. So we're back from our executive session. It is now 7:20. In the executive session were the commissioners who were previously present. Dr. Desir joined us during the course of the executive session. She's now with us. And Dr. Freed left. So during the executive session, we had our commissioners as well as Chief Cappiello and Janice were the invited participants. Is there a motion to adjourn because we have no other items on our agenda?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Falsigno. All those in favor?
Aye.
I see Mr. Falsigno, Dr. Sear, and I heard Mr. Esposito.